Musetti has one of the smoothest one-handed backhands on tour, and it's one of those one-handed backhands that actually holds up under pressure, and it's right at the top of the game at the moment. Unlike a lot of current one-handed backhand players that are really getting exposed, some players like Dimitrov and Stefanos Tsitsipas are having a really hard time at the moment not getting exposed on that wing. So if you're a beginner or a club player, let's take a few things away from what Musetti is able to do really well. And even if you're an advanced player with a one-handed backhand, there's a few things that you'll be able to take away from this. So have a look how when Musetti's in his ready position, so he does his split step, he's got a nice wide base with his legs. So then when he lands and he sees the ball coming onto his backhand side, watch how there's a really quick grip change, and he uses that left hand on the throat of the racket to help almost initiate this grip change to his backhand grip, which is kind of like an Eastern backhand grip that just allows him to really block through the ball when it comes fast, but he's also able to add a lot of spin. And he kind of tweaks the grip that he uses. He doesn't use the same grip for every backhand. He's able to create more spin by going around the grip a little bit more, but it always depends on the ball he's receiving. So anyway, notice how the first thing he's going to do is get his shoulders turned. So he's going to get side on with the shoulders. We can see that his chest is now facing the side, it's pointing at us. We can see that the head of the racket, he's got the strings up in this position, and he's really cradling the neck of the racket, the throat of the racket, and he's actually got 4 fingers on this side of the racket, and that one thumb is just making sure it's in place with the hand there in that position. So the other thing I want you to have a look at is how he has a bend in the elbow. So if you're a club player, what I often see is players lock out the arm too early, and that really impacts their swing because it makes them very tense. So by keeping this slight bend in the elbow, that just keeps his hands relaxed. And here, notice how the left elbow stays up, and there's this space under his armpit. And that's another thing a lot of club players do, is they have that left elbow for a right-hander too low. They almost have the elbow sort of down here, and what that does is that ends up letting the racket face open on the tape back, and we really want to try and avoid that position because that tends to make us hit late. So this is the final sort of set position before he hits the ball. So he's got the strings facing the side, the tip of the racket is up, his head is pointing forward, he's got that chin quite low to his shoulder here, and we can see that he's not locked out with the arm. There's that nice bend in the elbow, and he's not going to be holding the grip too tight with that hand. He's probably sort of like a 4-5 out of 10 for sort of how hard he's tensing on the handle. And then the next phase of the swing is the racket drop into the slot position. So watch how he's going to create this round C-shaped loop motion. So he's going to go from pointing up to dropping that racket head. And one thing a lot of beginners do is they let go of the left hand too early. So just notice how long Musetti keeps the left hand on the throat of the racket all the way down into what I like to call the slot position. So he gets to about here, and he's just releasing sort of when the racket is in that position. And you can see how the tip of the racket is actually pointing sort of that way. So it's almost going slightly behind his waist there, and that just shows you how much he's dropping the tip of the racket. So now we're going to forward it on. Also, just note how he's loading the weight on the front foot and the toe, and he's got his toe sort of pointing down the court. It's pointing more this way, and it's not pointing across, sort of blocking his hip from being able to come through. So let's just wind it on a bit. So we can see he's going all the way out to the contact point here, and he makes contact It's got such fast racket head, it's hard to pick it up on the slow motion. But let's say he's made contact there, and let's just look how on contact that arm has gone from a bent position to almost being locked out. And that's the strongest position you can be in when you make contact with the one-handed backhand. So he's made contact all the way out here in front of his body, uncoiling all of that energy that he stored up by holding the racket up at shoulder height, and he's really extended that arm through the contact. So then we'll just go on. We'll have a look at his the swing path on the follow through, and notice how high he's, or actually on this backhand, so he's actually blocked this ball. This was a really fast paced ball, and notice how he sort of abruptly stops the swing here, and he doesn't want to have too much of a backswing, too much of a follow through here. He's almost just abruptly stopping because he's almost just blocking this ball back. Whereas this is what I want you to have a look at now on the next backhand. Watch how he has a little bit more time on it, so he's gonna do all the same things again, and he repeats these small details all the time. And that's the real key to consistency, being able to repeat the fine movements. So left hand on the neck of the racket, bend in the elbow, chin near the shoulder, left elbow up. So he's got more time on this ball. It's also slightly higher. So he's actually preparing the height of the racket even higher on this second backhand, because he's able to load up on it a little bit more. So the tip of the racket's up, bend in the elbow here. And now what I want you to have a look at is he's swinging a little bit more horizontal through this ball. So he's contact all the way out in front here. And let's have a look at the follow through. So he really drives all the way through, and he actually finishes up here, and the tip of the racket is now pointing that way. So what I often see with a lot of beginners is they think there's one swing path for all backhands, and this is what the top players are able to do. They have different swing paths for the ball, for the type of ball they're receiving. If they have more time on the ball, they can take a bigger cut at the ball. If they have less time, the one-hander, he's almost blocking it and stopping a bit more abruptly just to send the ball back instead of trying to create power, because he's using his opponent's power to send the ball back. Notice also how he extends. He really reaches out and he's like squeezing his shoulder blades, getting that left arm back behind him. This is all about balance and just being able to commit through the shot by engaging the shoulder blades through the ball. So that's another thing you can take away for your backhand. Here we've got the rear view, and this is a real key. So beginners quite often don't do this quick enough, and that's what I want you to have a look at. So the ball's coming in, and before the ball lands, so the ball hasn't bounced yet, look how he's in this set position. So he's got racket head up, strings are facing the side wall. He's got that bend in the elbow, and he's side on. And the other thing I often see is he's in a closed stance here. A lot of sort of lower level players, they like to sort of cross the front foot across the body, and that blocks the hip off. But notice how there's a nice line. So if I draw a line sort of through here, he's not stepped across that line. He's almost just in a parallel line, and that's able to let him bring his hip through the ball. So he's in this set position before the ball lands. So he's here, and now the ball's coming in to bounce. And because he's already got the preparation phase out the way, he's able to now just do his racket drop and really extend out to the contact early instead of catching it late. Whereas what a lot of lower beginner sort of amateur players sometimes get caught out with is not preparing quick enough, and they almost let the ball bounce and then they start their preparation. So this is what the pros are really good at doing, and that's something I want you to try and implement into your game. Really hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something. And if you want to work with me one-on-one and you want me to analyze your own game, go to the link in my description and you can work with me through my one-on-one video analysis coaching. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks again. See you soon. Jack.